At 8:02 p.m. on Tuesday, June 10th, Meghan Markle stepped into Kris Jenner's living room. And at 8:04, she was already being escorted out. No invitation, no warning, just 3 minutes inside and a door that shut fast behind her. Hollywood calls it a misunderstanding. West Hollywood calls it a statement. Tonight, an uninvited guest, a private guest list, and the 3-minute moment that no one was supposed to see. What really happened behind those doors? Who tipped off the cameras? And why did Kris Jenner say, "We've been through this"? To understand that moment, you have to go back. 2 weeks before the incident, a text went out from Meghan to Kris. There was no response. No RSVP, no acknowledgement, just silence. "I just thought we could connect, catch up." I was surprised to hear nothing. In LA, silence isn't passive, it's power. And when it echoes back from the Kardashian camp, it speaks. They were never tight, not friends, more like orbiters. Alley adjacent, PR parallel. Once upon a time, there were overtures. But as one insider put it, they didn't take. So what made her show up 2 years later? And why? Without an invitation. Some say it was a mistake. Others say it was a setup. Whatever the motive, the guest list was final. And Meghan Markle was nowhere on it. What Meghan walked into wasn't a party. It was a protocol breach. A Kardashian staffer, protected under anonymity, agreed to speak. Their message? This wasn't a social faux pas. This was security escalation. She just appeared, no clearance. Security radioed upstairs in under 30 seconds. She was never approved. She was flagged. And someone inside kept the digital receipts. In Kardashian operations, access isn't a handshake. It's a barcode scan, a waiver, and 3 levels of verification. And Meghan, she didn't have any of it. She walked through the velvet rope with no rope at all. 4 separate feeds, 1 uninvited presence, and a timeline that leaves no ambiguity. According to the security logs, she crossed the threshold at exactly 8:02 p.m. At 8:04, she was already being walked out. Response: 02, discreet escort, non-lethal, non-verbal. Objective: remove without disruption, avoid optics breach. Do not escalate to on-camera action unless safety is threatened. This wasn't a dramatic ejection. It was a silent shutdown. This wasn't chaos, it was coordination. And someone on the inside was watching every second. It wasn't about danger, it was about liability. The Kardashians didn't just remove her. They removed the risk. 3 minutes, 4 frames, 0 ambiguity. It wasn't a confrontation. It was something colder. By the time Meghan was inside, Kris was already up. Not angry, not shocked, just ready. 2 doors, 3 steps, and a name she already knew wasn't on the list. She didn't look defiant, she looked like she expected a different welcome. There was no raised voice, no camera flashes, no Hollywood moment. Kris said, "This isn't the time, that's it." Flat, not cruel, just done. She didn't argue. She didn't plead. But she didn't rush. She walked like she wanted people to see, not run, just be witnessed. 3 minutes inside, 2 closed doors, 1 irreversible shift. This act ends not with a scene, but a signal. In the Kardashian court, power is spreadsheeted. Guest lists aren't suggestions. They're social contracts. 3 names intentionally redacted. 1 name never included. This wasn't a dinner. It was a ritual. If you're on the list, you get a packet, waiver, wardrobe guide, ride service. It's like being knighted, but with lashes. There's no ambiguity. She wasn't removed. She was never there. Whatever Meghan believed, the list didn't share it. This wasn't a mix-up. This was a message. June 10, 7:47 p.m. 3 blocks from Jenner's estate. 1 black SUV parked, engine on, headlights off. At 7:59, the SUV glides toward the gate. At 8:01, it stops. At 8:02, Meghan walks in. That kind of arrival timing, you'd only get it if someone told you exactly when the party starts. A question surfaced. Was she tipped off or just watching from the shadows? It doesn't matter if she planned it or gambled. The fact is, she was perfectly timed. She didn't crash the party. She threaded the needle. She waited, she watched. Then she walked in. If this was coincidence, it was choreographed like a royal exit. To outsiders, it was a surprise. To the Kardashians' operations team, it was an alert. 02 doesn't mean get her out. It means get her out quietly. Kardashian events aren't just guarded. They're choreographed. From the guest wristbands to the lighting temperature. The breach wasn't violent. It was procedural. And that's worse. She wasn't dangerous. She was unpredictable. And in Hollywood, that's more alarming. She wasn't dragged. She was contained. We don't have the full audio, but we reconstructed what we could from 4 separate sources. Source 1, staffer, inside hallway. She looked confused, maybe expected a welcome. But when Kris walked in, her face changed. Source 2, guest on background camera. Kris said, "This isn't the time." Like, shut down, no discussion, no yelling, no finger pointing. Just the kind of silence that ends meetings. Source 3, Kardashian affiliate, close to event planning. Security didn't rush her, but she didn't run either. She walked like she knew the eyes were on her. She marked the moment, not with words, with posture. She was outside for less than 60 seconds. But the moment was already captioned. She didn't resist, but she didn't disappear. She left a scene. Whatever was said, it was enough. At 8:05 p.m., she stepped out again. Less than 3 minutes after stepping in. But here's the twist. Someone else was already there. Waiting. Not from behind a bush. Not from down the block. Directly across the street. We got a tip-off. Anonymous number. Said a royal type might show up uninvited at Jenner's place. Told us to be ready. If it was random, why were they there before she was seen? It wasn't Kris's usual crew. We didn't get a house side heads up. That kind of call, that's internal. This wasn't surveillance. This was staging. Uninvited royal, Meghan Markle seen outside Jenner estate, Daily Mail. Did Meghan crash a Kardashian party on page 6? Cameras were ready, but was Meghan, NY Post. It took 90 minutes for the photos to go viral. But they weren't captured. They were placed. That tweet wasn't just commentary. It was the first domino. Once those images drop, it's not about what happened. It's about how fast you can make it trend. She didn't pose, but she didn't hide either. You can't crash a party if the cameras were already waiting. She really tried to crash a Jenner Inner Circle invite? This not suits, sweetie. It started with a tweet. It ended with a full-blown optics spiral. These weren't paparazzi shots. These were internal, taken from inside the house system. First the image, then the video. Both leaked anonymously. Both traceable back to the inside. This wasn't theft. This was a release. There's no way that footage leaves the server unless someone inside sends it out. No fingerprints, but too much precision to be accidental. Within 6 hours, it wasn't gossip. It was everywhere. The leak didn't spark curiosity. It ignited mockery. The footage was raw, but the intent was edited. Hanley. We ran metadata analysis. The original stills were pulled from a shared server used by Kardashian staff. The file names weren't renamed. That tells us it wasn't a hack. It was a choice. There's a difference between stolen and selected. This was the second one. There was a quiet green light. No one said leak this, but the silence said we're fine with it. This wasn't just optics. It was internal enforcement. In Kardashian media culture, the brand always controls the first frame. If this leaked, it was meant to. No one claimed credit. But the narrative claimed Meghan. A gate was crossed, and a line was drawn. June 13th, 11:07 a.m. A cease and desist letter lands on 3 desks. No deepfake, no splice. The Kardashian camp didn't confirm it, but they didn't deny it either. No statement, no rebuttal. Just silence shaped like a headline. I wasn't trying to make it about Kris again, but you did. No screaming, just 2 lines, and the sound of a door that wouldn't open again. The leak wasn't hacked. It was delivered. The file name wasn't cleaned. It wasn't anonymized. Whoever sent this wanted it to be traced. The drop wasn't random. It was reactionary. 12 hours later, her voice said otherwise. It was a chess move. They dropped a denial. The other side leaked the checkmate. Y'all, this just took a turn. She said there was no altercation, and Kris said, we've been through this? The audio leak is surgical. It didn't need context, just tone. We've been through this. She wasn't just uninvited. She was already done. With the leaked audio confirmed, analysts began reconstructing the space it came from. Based on the echo profile and glass clink, this wasn't a closed-door office. It was transitional, somewhere open like a hall or entryway. 3 voices, 1 mic, no yelling, but every word controlled. There were people within earshot, but no one stepped in. That was the point. In the background, a party still going. In the hallway, a boundary being enforced. It wasn't confrontation by force. It was confrontation by layout. Subtitle, they were never friends, they were adjacent. When Meghan first moved to Los Angeles in 2020, there was buzz, not of friendship, but of alignment. Declined due to optics mismatch. They never wanted her on the show. She wanted 1 foot in the frame. They preferred the whole picture. They weren't collaborators. They were orbiters. And when the orbit drifted off-brand, it collapsed. That wasn't shade. That was sentence. There was no official blacklist. But she stopped being listed. The cameras never stopped rolling, but Meghan's cameo was cut. Quietly. Completely. This is what Noah calls the optic spiral stage, where both sides stop talking publicly, but every post, story, and press move becomes a calculated narrative maneuver. Not loud, not emotional, just tactical. Let's write it in full thriller-pacing docudrama form, with timestamps, media sequences, legal tactics, and the final shift in public temperature. June 18th, denial without denial. Ms. Markle did not engage in any confrontation and was simply present briefly before respectfully exiting. No denial of the audio. No comment on the words. Just an edit of the moment. They didn't say it was fake. They just said it wasn't a confrontation. That word, it's doing a lot of work. June 19th, leak escalation. And then the second leak dropped. The rest of the clip. The line that wasn't supposed to be heard. I wasn't trying to Kris flat, but you did. It confirmed the tone. Kris wasn't angry. She was final. June 20th, the story post that said everything. Invite only means invite only. No names. No tags. Just one rule, at the perfect time. That's the new clapback, not a caption, a code. Meghan's team moved fast. Copyright law. Digital privacy. DMCA motion filed. It's not about denying the words. It's about owning the rights to them. And just like that, the footage began to vanish. There were no apologies. No clarifications. Just takedowns. Just captions. Just distance. They weren't playing to fix the story. They were trying to end it. In the end, the confrontation didn't explode. It evaporated. And all that remained was the silence it left behind. No apologies. No interviews. Just deletions. Just silence. Just distance. And in a city built on exposure, nothing disappears faster than a moment you weren't invited to. At 8:02 p.m., Meghan Markle stepped inside. And at 8:04, she was already on her way out. Some doors don't slam shut. They just stop unlocking.